Welcome back to our YouTube channel. In the bustling city of Jerusalem, the seat of Roman power in Judea, tension simmered under the surface. The Roman governor Pontius Pilate found himself in the middle of a brewing storm. The Jews, subjugated under Roman rule, chafed at the foreign occupation, their discontent simmering beneath the surface. It was in this charged atmosphere that Pilate, a man known for his pragmatic approach to governance, faced one of the most pivotal moments in history, the trial and crucifixion of Jesus of Nazareth. Pilate was no stranger to controversy. His tenure as governor had been marked by several confrontations with the Jewish population, particularly their religious leaders. Yet nothing could have prepared him for the events that would unfold when Jesus, a Galilean preacher whose teachings had captivated and divided the masses, was brought before him. The ensuing trial and the shocking letter Pilate would write detailing his account would echo through the annals of history, forever altering the course of human events. Background: the political landscape of Judea was a complex web of Roman authority and Jewish tradition. Pilate, appointed by Emperor Tiberius, was tasked with maintaining order and ensuring the smooth collection of taxes. His rule was often heavy-handed, earning him a reputation for cruelty among the Jewish populace. Despite this, Pilate was acutely aware of the delicate balance he had to maintain. Any major unrest could jeopardize his position and invite scrutiny from Rome. Jesus of Nazareth emerged as a significant figure during this tumultuous period. His teachings, which emphasized love, compassion, and the coming of the kingdom of God, resonated deeply with many, but also drew the ire of the Jewish religious leaders. They viewed him as a threat to their authority and a potential catalyst for rebellion. As Jesus' following grew, so did the urgency with which the Jewish leaders sought to neutralize him. The situation came to a head during the Passover festival, a time when Jerusalem swelled with pilgrims. Jesus' entry into the city, hailed by followers as a messianic king, only heightened the tensions. The Jewish leaders, unable to arrest him openly for fear of inciting a riot, devised a plan to apprehend him discreetly. The arrest and trial under the cover of night. Jesus was arrested in the Garden of Gethsemane, betrayed by one of his own disciples. He was swiftly brought before the Sanhedrin, the Jewish council, where he was accused of blasphemy for claiming to be the Son of God. Despite the council's unanimous verdict, they lacked the authority to carry out a death sentence. For this, they needed Pilate's approval. Pilate was initially reluctant to involve himself in what he perceived as a religious dispute. However, the Jewish leaders framed their accusations in a way that forced his hand, claiming that Jesus had declared himself king, thereby challenging Roman authority. This accusation of sedition was a matter Pilate could not ignore. As Jesus stood before him, Pilate conducted a perfunctory interrogation. He found no evidence of the crimes Jesus was accused of. Pilate's instincts told him that the charges were rooted in jealousy and fear, rather than genuine concern for Roman law. Yet the pressure from the Jewish leaders and the growing crowd outside could not be dismissed. They demanded crucifixion, and Pilate, fearing a riot, sought a way to appease them without staining his hands with innocent blood. In a final attempt to absolve himself, Pilate offered the crowd a choice: release Jesus or Barabbas, a known insurgent. To his dismay, the crowd chose Barabbas. With no other options left, Pilate symbolically washed his hands before the people, declaring himself innocent of Jesus' blood. He then reluctantly ordered the crucifixion. The crucifixion of Jesus was a brutal and public spectacle, designed to serve as a deterrent to any who might challenge Roman rule. Jesus was scourged, mocked, and forced to carry his cross to Golgotha, the place of execution. The Roman soldiers, indifferent to the man's suffering, executed their orders with practiced efficiency. As Jesus hung on the cross, a diverse array of reactions played out around him. The Roman soldiers, hardened by years of enforcing crucifixions, were largely indifferent, though some were moved by the dignity with which Jesus bore his suffering. The Jewish leaders watched with a mixture of satisfaction and relief, convinced they had neutralized a threat to their authority. Meanwhile, Jesus' followers, scattered and fearful, were left in a state of profound grief and confusion. The shocking letter in the days following the crucifixion Pilate found himself grappling with a deep sense of unease. The events had left an indelible mark on him, prompting a rare moment of introspection. It was during this period that he composed a letter, detailing his perspective on the trial and crucifixion of Jesus. Most honorable Emperor Tiberius, I write to you today with a heavy heart, burdened by the events that have recently transpired in Jerusalem. I find myself compelled to share with you the details of a trial that has shaken me to my core, involving a man named Jesus of Nazareth. From the moment he was brought before me, I sensed that this was no ordinary case. The Jewish leaders, whom I have often found to be motivated by envy and self-preservation, accused this man of claiming to be the king of the Jews, a charge they insisted threatened Roman authority. Yet as I questioned him, it became clear that Jesus posed no real threat to our rule. His kingdom, as he described, was not of this world. The man stood before me with a calm demeanor, his presence radiating a sense of peace and righteousness. I could find no fault in him. Despite my repeated attempts to release him, the fervor of the crowd, spurred on by the Jewish leaders, demanded his crucifixion. They cried out for his blood, and in the face of such overwhelming pressure, I feared a riot that could destabilize the region. In a final bid to absolve myself of responsibility, I offered to release either Jesus or Barabbas, a known insurrectionist. To my dismay, the crowd chose Barabbas. With no other recourse, I washed my hands before them, declaring myself innocent of this righteous man's blood, and ordered his crucifixion. As I write this letter, I am haunted by the image of Jesus on the cross. His final words, spoken with forgiveness and grace, resonate within me. I have overseen many executions, but none have affected me as deeply as this. It is clear to me that Jesus was no ordinary man. His teachings and his character have left an indelible impression on all who encountered him. I fear that in condemning him, we may have committed a grave injustice. Already, there are whispers among his followers of his resurrection, a claim that, if true, could have far-reaching implications. I urge you to consider the ramifications of this event, and to take measures to ensure that such a miscarriage of justice does not occur again. With deepest respect, Pontius Pilate. Aftermath and reflection. The immediate aftermath of Jesus' crucifixion saw a city grappling with conflicting emotions. The Jewish leaders, satisfied with their victory, quickly moved to suppress any remnants of Jesus' movement. However, the followers of Jesus, though initially disheartened, soon began to spread the news of his resurrection, a message that would form the cornerstone of the burgeoning Christian faith. Pilate, for his part, was deeply affected by the ordeal. The letter he had written, intended for the emperor, was never sent, but it remained a personal testament to his inner turmoil. Pilate's reflections on Jesus,